Good morning. Good morning to all of you, and thank you for this possibility to give you a view into my world. That's very special to software testing. I've called my presentation "The Surprising Right Fit for Software Testing" because that's actually what my life has become. It has become something in between a work and a mission. And the big surprise for the software testing industry is that it has been possible for me and my company, Specialisterne, to make the resources of people with autism available to the software testing community. When I say autism, I actually mean autism spectrum disorder. The most commonly known diagnosis within this spectrum is Aspergers Syndrome. And people with Aspergers Syndrome, they are traditionally very good at tasks where attention to detail is very important, but they are often socially excluded. I came into this world because the youngest of my 3 sons was diagnosed with autism 3 years ago. 6 years ago it was. And I found out that people with autism actually are very good at certain things. When we had the diagnosis given to our son, we were also told that his opportunities in life would not be the same as his brothers, and we as parents had to face that we had to play, to go into a character, to play a certain special role as his parents, because he would be misunderstood in the society surrounding us. So it was quite devastating to know that your son has a handicap that will never disappear. But I also found out that besides having a disability or a handicap, he also possessed special skills. And I tried to find out how can these skills be made available to his surroundings. How can he get a job where he can be recognized for what he's good at, not just for his disability. I worked 15 years within IT in telecommunication business, most of the time in the big Danish incumbent company called TDC. And in that period, I often was short on resources that really stick to the details, and especially within testing, it was often very hard to find someone who could do the same repetitive tasks over and over again with the same attention to details. And I could see that my son was really good at being systematic and had all these details in order in whatever he did. So I thought that there must be some business opportunities if I can just bridge the autism community with the business community. I also learned a lot about autism as 3 years as president of a local autism organization in Denmark, and I knew that there are no job opportunities in Denmark if you do not comply with the expectations on social skills, then the labor market is closed. So I decided to start up my own company with the purpose to set up the environment needed by people with autism to feel comfortable and to let their special abilities become available to the business sector. I decided to do that at market terms, so I started up without money, without knowledge, but just with a very personal drive, because the future of my son depended upon success of this company. And today, 5 years later, I can tell that that it works. We have some awards like the Autism Prize and the IT Prize by the Danish IT Industry Association, and that's actually very special because it's normally given to people who have great financial successes, who have become billionaires in the Danish IT sector. But this year it was not given to successes measured in finances, but success measured in the joy of creating jobs for people who otherwise would not have a chance. We had 5 years of operational know-how in turning autism characteristics into advantages. We are a case study at Harvard Business School. That's actually how I came up with the title of the surprising right fit for software testing. We are hot at Harvard because we are taking the industry by surprise. People who have not been seen as potential labor force actually can compete at market terms. We are among 10 of the most promising global brands, as declared by the magazine Monocle last year. We have just been reorganizing. I've established a not-for-profit foundation called Specialist People Foundation, who has taken over 100% of the shares in Specialisterne. We've been awarded as best large social firm in Europe, 2006. And we are now about 40 people with autism and 15 without autism, being managers and staff. And in a training program, we have 25 trainees with autism. The resources with autism, that's when it becomes quite interesting, I think, for you as an audience here. The autism characteristics, that's motivation. And they're often motivated for tasks that people who do not have autism are not motivated for. That's like very much repetitive tasks. They are engaged, they are very focused, they are very persistent, they have a high precision, and attention to details are at a very high level, not just the first time a task is carried out, but also the 10th, the 20th, and so forth. They follow instructions very sharp. They have a very structured way of working and a high learning ability if you are able to meet their special understanding of how they learn. But these are characteristics, and the challenge is to turn the characteristics into competitive resources in the business sector. So they have to be turned into some working situations where they can actually compete at market terms. And there are some barriers there. It's not always they have a relevant education in the IT sector. Probably they don't have positive job experiences. If they have job experiences, it's very possible that these job experiences led to stress and depression because they didn't find the needed understanding. They need reduced working hours. 20 to 25 hours per week is a typically duration in the work hours. They have a hard time complying with stress, so we have to take away stress from the working situation, and they need special understanding. But if you can compensate for these barriers, you actually have very good working resources. Today we do services like test, especially within verification, static and dynamic. We do a lot of data conversion, entries, quality control. Whenever it's important that the quality of data is high, then there's a potential role for us to play. We also do documentation. We develop or we make quality control of documentation, like we do test documentation, we do quality control on manuals. We do monitoring, and we do a little programming as well. Our customers are big IT companies like CSC, Microsoft, Cisco, Siemens. I just calculated that last year we had 26 business customers. It's a big global IT company, and it's big Danish IT companies like Lego, TDC, some others that probably mostly the Danish ones in the audience will know. But what do the customers get out of working together with us? Well, regarding the performance, CSC is our biggest international clients, and they state that specialisterne, the consultants from specialisterne, are good at testing IT solutions, as they can use their fantastic ability to remember every single screen image. Concerns with the program director. CSC has employed specialisterne to test applications for TDC, one of the clients of CSC, and one of the tasks was to control that screen images were correct. They're very good at checking this, and we actually found they got faster and faster with no deterioration in quality. In fact, they finished the years ahead schedule. That's actually one of my problems. That's when my consultants, they finish ahead of schedule, because we are paid by duration of the tasks. So it's bad for the financials, but it's good for the references. Well, there's also a human side to it, and it's very important for our clients, our customers, that to work with us has a business side, but it also has a human side. And if you want to work together with specialisterne, you have to be open to both. You have to accept that we have to introduce you to what is autism and what is special working conditions. Like, you have to be able to plan, you have to be able to document the tasks, you have to appoint a contact person, and you have to give us feedback to our contact person quite frequently on how everything goes. The CSC had on the human surprise was stated by Secretary at CSC. I had a meeting with specialists on the education consultants who helped us get to know our new consultants better. We finished them with a special office, but otherwise treated them exactly like all our other colleagues. We ate lunch together and we got to know them very well because they were a lot more outgoing than we expected. What our customers also say is that actually many of them, they learn to be more aware of the well-being of their own employees, their own consultants, after working together with us. Because we have to take the starting point in the surroundings and the motivation and the task of each of our consultants. If we can set up the right environment, we can have really great working resource. And that's the same actually, not just for people with autism, but for any of your employees. But for us, our consultants do not work if we don't take these considerations. But actually, very many people, very many employees would like to have this caring for how your working condition is. But the business case, that's absolutely the most important to our customers. CSC says we have chosen to use employees from Specialisterne mainly because it makes good, sound business sense. We have trouble finding employees willing to work on these tasks for any length of time. Specialisterne are really good at these tasks and they fit in well at CSC. The decision to hire Specialisterne is therefore based on exactly the same considerations as when we purchase services from any other consultant. The social responsibility is simply a fortunate added bonus, says the program director. And that's what is so special about us, about Specialisterne. It is that we found our niche in the business sector where the skills of people who otherwise would not be in the labor force actually can make positive financial results and put value into the software testing. So the relevance for the EuroSTAR audience, as I see it, is that I hope you can find inspiration of thinking of new ways in adding resources and thinking motivation in different kind of tasks. You can get access to special resources. We can do and as we establish in other countries, there's an opportunity to roll out or to get access to the people, the consultants with autism at Specialisterne. We're in the planning phase of starting up in the UK. Probably the next after UK countries will be Norway, Sweden, Germany, Switzerland. My ambition is to roll out this concept at a very broad scale, so we can get access, or we can make these skills available to as many companies on a global scale as possible, and to create as many jobs as possible for people with autism. That's the end of my presentations.
Okay, Thorkil, we can take, we have a few questions here. So the first one is, why is a job skill like IT testing specific for autistic people?
Well, it's not specific. I think we started out in the IT sector because that's where my background is, or was. I had a 15-year background, and I knew that what was needed in like tasks like software testing. You might say it's one of the biggest challenges you can take, trying to get fragile people into a software testing situation. Software testing is very often regarded as one of the most stressful working situations you can imagine. But we've succeeded anyway. We try to find our niches and spot the tasks that we can plan and execute and protect our consultants from the stress. So it works, but it could be in any other business, wherever it's hard to find employees with the right motivation for typically repetitive tasks where there are too many errors, bugs slipping through because the attention to details are not high enough, where a systematic way of thinking and working is needed. And I think that's actually 1 to 5% of any tasks in the business sector, not just in IT, would suit very well for people like the ones with autism.
Okay, we have another one here from Eamon McGuinness. It just says, Thorkil, thank you. Excellent talk. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. What are the main barriers to growing your company? What would it take to have over 400 people with autism testing for specialist learn, or maybe a company of 60 people?
Hello? Can you hear me? Susan, can you hear me? Hello? There's some noise, but I'll try to reply. Well, the first barrier to creating 400 jobs is to find the finances for making a firm planning. And when we had the finance for the planning, we need to find big companies or associations who are interested in making some contracts, who believe in what we do, and to create a sound business case for a startup. We don't have much money. We are balancing between idealism and realism, but we created the new foundation as a not-for-profit foundation in order to attract money for startups in other countries. My ambition is to establish companies around Denmark so that we can have about 1,000 people employed with autism, and then use the knowledge to start up franchise concepts so that we can sell franchises, licenses, and in that way have about 10,000 employees. We have been contacted by people and or organizations from about 50 countries who are interested in what we're doing, because we are the first company of our kinds in the world. And what really drives me is to create the jobs and to do it on market terms, to set a new standard for how we regard normality and disability, so that we actually can see disability as just not just one-sided, but if there is a disability, there might also be a special ability. And I'm driven by creating equal opportunities also for people with a disability. So I want to go out and expand this concept globally. And I see the EuroSTAR audience as very interesting. audience in that terms, because if we can get a good foothold in like Germany and UK and other big countries, we can really create hundreds or thousands of jobs that do not just benefit people with autism, but also the business sector.
We have another question here from Peter. Your testers work 20 to 25 hours a week. Do you receive government funding when you employ people with autism so you can pay them a regular salary? And do you plan to start up in the Netherlands?
In Denmark there's a special arrangement in the welfare system, so we are able to pay our employees a normal salary approved by the union. So a full-time salary, even though they only work like half-time. Then we get a part of the salary refunded, or our cost for the salary refunded by the local authorities. And I think we already inspired 3 or 4 projects to start up into the Netherlands. They are very entrepreneurial in the Netherlands. At the moment, we don't have any plans, but we would like to help these projects that start up in the Netherlands, inspired by us.
We have another question here from Robert Magnuson. In Sweden, there's a company, Left is Right, where that is employing people with Aspergers Syndrome. Would you cooperate with them when you roll out in Sweden?
Of course. They were here a year ago when we launched our new headquarters, so we are in contact with them. They also started up upon inspiration from specialists. And when we go international, I don't see any competitors, because this market is so huge, and we need all good efforts to create jobs and provide resources. And I don't want to hire everyone with autism in the world. I want to make the most out of the benefits I've generated over the past 4 or the 5 first years of operation.
Okay. Are there any more questions? You can use the Q&A tab at the top, but I think that's it. Okay. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to be with us today, and especially Thorkil, thank you for sharing your story with us. A recorded version of today's webinar will be sent to everyone registered, and it will also be available on our webinar archive on the EuroSTAR website. So thank you to everyone, and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.